So hi class, this is my introduction video of programming, and in this video we are going to discuss about data type. So before that, let me introduce myself. I am Gautam, a Java full stack trainer, and I'm currently working in a Ducat School of India. Let's go towards the topic. So in this video we are going to talk about data types in programming. So what is a data type and why we need a data type in programming? So to understand data type in programming, you must understand how a program works and how we can process data inside a program. If you understand the flow, the concept of data type will be very easy for you. So let's try to understand how a program processes the data and how a program works on a data. So suppose, for example, I assume that you don't have any knowledge regarding programming and anything. So suppose this is our program. This is our program. Let's say, for example, this is our program. And this our program, this is our user. This is our user. Okay. So user can be any people, maybe a client, maybe a normal user, or anyone. Let's me and you, just a normal person. And let's suppose this program is for calculating purpose, for calculation program. Let's say, for an example, this program is for a calculation program and user want to perform some calculation on the basis of that. So user must send some data to our program. User will send some data to our program. User will send some data to our program and our program should work on that. For example, let's draw and let's try to understand. Let's say, for example, user want to perform 2 plus 2 operation using our program. Okay, user want to perform 2 plus 2 operation using our program. So how our program work on this data, how our program manage this data, we will understand this by the concept of data type. So actually, let's say, for example, user pass this two thing as an input. User pass this two thing as an input, let's say 2 plus 2 and the one operand. Sorry, operator. So we have a one operator and two data. Two data. Got it? So, listen, to process or to perform some operation on this data, our program need to store this data to somewhere in the memory. Okay, what I'm trying to say, to since our program have to work on this data, so it first need to be stored in some memory. It first need to be stored somewhere in the memory. Okay, it should be stored somewhere in the memory. Once that this data is stored somewhere in the memory, then we can we can perform operation using that data. Okay, so to store the data, to store this data inside our program, we make something called variables. We make something called variables. Got it? So to store data inside our program, we make variables. And while defining those variables, we have to mention that which kind of data this variable are going to hold or store. So we use the concept of data type for that. So to defining this variable, that which type of data will it hold, we use data type. For example, this is an integer data. This is an integer data. So when we are defining a variable which hold this data, we have to define using a proper data type, that is int. So we will define variable like this, int a, and this a will hold 2. Got it? So here this int is a data type. Here this int is a data type, and here our a is the variable which hold our value. Suppose if you want to perform some calculation on this input, so before performing any calculation, you need to store that input in somewhere variables and you will perform operation on that variables. Okay, so how it's done in programming. So we need to make two variables like int variable 1 and variable 2. Okay, int variable and variable 2. Somehow variable 1 got 2 and variable 2 also got 2. And if you want to perform calculation, you need to again store that calculated value inside somewhere inside a variable. Let's say int result. Sorry, int summation. So it will be v1 plus v2. Okay, this way, instead of performing a variable operation, what happened behind the scene, our program actually go look for the values which it hold, like 2 and 2, and here it perform like 2 plus 2. Whatever the result, it will store inside our s, and we will display this s to our user. Got it? We will display this s to our user. So here the concept of data type is simple, that while defining a variable, uh, we need to define what type of data that variable are going to hold. Okay, so for that we use the concept of data type. Got it? So now here we have a two kind of data type. First one is user defined and second one is a primitive data type. Okay, so let's look at what is user defined and what is primitive data type. So if we are talking about data types, we got two types of data. First one, user defined data type, and second one is primitive data type. Primitive data type. Primitive data type. So if you are talking about these two data type, the first principle says that the first principle says that if the data type is already defined, it means the data type is already built, then that data type can be called as a primitive data type. Okay. What I'm trying to say, that if you have a predefined data type, means that data type already defined. If you have a predefined data type, then it should be categorized under a primitive data type. And if you have if the user defines some data type, here the user is programmer, not the actual one who use the program. Okay, here the user is a programmer who actually designed the program. So if the data type is designed by a programmer or made by a programmer, then that data type called as a user defined data type. So let's see some example like array, strings. We will learn all about that, what is an array and what is in strings and many other different things. And here in this example, we can easily understand with integers and floats and characters. So these are the predefined data type. Got it? One more thing I would like to add, that user defined data type will have a dynamic memory allocation. What do you mean by dynamic memory allocation? It means, sorry, not dynamic memory allocation. We can say that they have a dynamic size. It means that they don't have a fixed size. It depends on the data, how much data they will store, their size gradually increase or decrease. When we are talking about primitive data type, they always have a fixed size. It means that if I'm trying to make a variable of data type integer, it will surely take 4 bytes. Okay, it will surely take 4 bytes of memory to store that integer inside our memory. But if I'm defining an array and I set the size of an array to be 10, and each array will hold a integer, that will the total number of space that it will do is 4 into 10. Here 4 denote by single integer size, and since we want to store 10 integers, so the total memory will it allocate will be 4 into 10. Got it? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Got it? So here let's say for example 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Got it? So here we can see that we store 10 integers. So the total memory that it will took will be 40 bytes. Got it? That's why we say that its size is not fixed. It will be depend on the how much data it store. And when we are talking about primitive data type, its size is fixed. It cannot hold more than the allocated data. Got it? So this is an overall concept of data type, and we have a two different kinds of data type, that is primitive and user defined. Let's move towards the coding part and let's see how it look like in code. Okay, so let me open my VS Code. Hmm. Okay, so let's write some code. I will write some code, and here let's see how I can define a variable. I can define a variable like this. Let's say variable one, and I can define second variable like this into variable two. Okay, this is variable one and this is variable two. And if I want to store some data inside the variable one, I can store it like this. Let's say 10. And I want to store another data inside variable two, I can store like this. And if I want to display this data on the screen, okay, if I want to show the result or summation of this data on the screen, I will again make a separate variable for that, that is int sum. And inside sum, I will put like this. Okay, so don't be confused about this equal sign. This is not an equal sign in programming. This is assignment operator. We will study about it later. Okay, so once you completed this, I can display this using system.out like this. And when I run this program, now it started. So we can see that the output is sum is 30. Okay, because this is first time it loading, so that's why it taking so much time. It's not about anything, but due to some little bit of weak issue. So that's how the concept of data type in programming. So we what we learned today is that to process any data, you need to store it inside a variable. And to define that variable, you need to define it using data type. So here comes the concept of data type, why we need data type and how we can use that data type. What are the types of data? We also cover that point. Okay, we will take a separate session on that in depth, that how we can define array, how we can define a string, and many more. So hopefully we will learn better anything. So let's cap out in the next video. Thank you.